underestimate the strength we have in the society that has survived so long. I mean, you hear these things, some of these, border on paranoia that will be obliterated, but I mean, they may be organized well, but do we not have to recognize that there is inherent strength also in the society that throws up?
No, good question. This is a very common question. It's a very, very common question. Let me tell you, this business that we've not been bothered and affected for 5,000 years is not valid. Even 2,000 years ago, forget 5,000 years, even 1,500 years ago, Afghanistan was part of our country, Pakistan was part of our country, Nepal, and you look at these Central Asian countries, all these sthans, they're all Buddhist, Hindu, and our nation, our civilization went all the way to Bali, which means all of these places like, not only Myanmar and Thailand and Southeast Asia, Cambodia, they were all part of it. So if you look at from Bali on one side to Afghanistan on the other side, and if you look at from Sri Lanka to the south to all the way to Mount Kailash and these various Central Asian countries, if you look at that as Indian civilization, even 1,500 years ago, and then if you look at Buddhism also as part of it, then you would also have to include China and Japan. But forget that. If we just take this smaller entity, we are now already 20% of that and lost 80%. Okay. So if you are a business corporate guy and you lost 80% of your revenue, you can't say, we are all going to be here forever. Look, we are still doing well. The point is the trend line is against us. And the most aggressive religions did not even exist. One of them did not exist 1,500 years ago, and the other one did not exist 2,000 years ago. So these newer religions have taken over more than 50% world market share, which they had zero at 2,000 years ago. We have lost market share in our region of South Asia and Southeast Asia. Not only that, even the territory which is now India is being threatened with further partitions. You cannot say Northeast is safe. You cannot say Kashmir is safe. You cannot say these Maoist areas are safe. You cannot say Tamil Nadu are safe. So yes, we have survived, but it's like a person who's got more and more diseases, more and more organs infected could say, no, I've lived for 60 years, 70 years. Look, man, why are you worried? I've lived 70 years, so I'll go on. The point is, the doctor will tell him that you are not as healthy as you once were. So a doctor of civilization will say that the power and strength of Indian civilization, even internally to be able to withstand to threats and all that, is not where it was once upon a time, which we all know. Okay, so merely survival is not good enough for me. The fact that we are still alive is not good enough for me. The point is, are we thriving? And is the trend line against us? The conversion is always one way. It's not Hindus aren't going around converting other people. We are being converted. Whether we are being converted fast or slow is the only issue. But any time there's a one-way trend, ultimately you are not going to be able to continue. Ultimately you're not going to continue. Now, as far as the speed is concerned, let me give you a few examples where conversion happened like that. One is Nagaland. In the 1950s, less than 2% were Christians. In 40 years, they went to 95, 98%, like that. Another example is South Korea. South Korea, from 3-4% Christianity to 60% Christianity, took about 40-50 years. Because once, you see, it took them a long time and they were just futzing around, not being very aggressive and just growing a little bit slowly here and there. Once they put their mind to it, once the aggressors said that this is what we are going to target, and they trained an army of missionaries, they took over schools, they took over media, they converted them into generations. That planting of the machinery has happened in India. It is not happening, but happened. Today, you will not be able to get a good pro-Hindu story out in the mainstream press, but you can get an anti-Hindu story out like that. I'll tell you that. You can see that we have documented in this how the police cases that are filed, they are done one way, not balanced. How the legislature, how the prosecution is of a one kind focus, not the other kind. So it's like the body has an immune system, and so what the mechanisms I'm talking about are the immune system of the nation. And if a patient's immune system keeps getting weaker, even though he's not dead, the doctor will tell you that you are headed for trouble. So we can't just wait. We can't just wait until we have got a heart attack. We have to say that these problems are happening. Many Nagalands are being created in the pockets in India. So we can't wait for that to happen and then say, this is what happened. So I would, given how long it takes to organize Hindus, they will look for every reason to do nothing. First they'll say there's no problem, then they'll say it's not my problem, then they'll say it's being solved already, then they'll say somebody else must be solving it, I'm sure there's so many people. Every reason for them not to have to do something. So given all that, we have to get organized. Sooner the better.